All right, everyone, welcome to this video. In this video, we're going to cover basically this aspect, this part of the funnel here. So if I go zoom out, this is the whole funnel that we've talked about in the various other videos. So basically, this whole funnel covers every single way a customer every single way a customer is going to interact with your service business. So if you have a service business, whether you're a contractor, an agency, whatever type of local service business, most clients are going to interact with you in one of these ways where they're going to notice you first. They're going to see you in one of these platforms. Then after that, they're going to inform themselves about your business. They're going to see your website, your online reputation, and your content. Then when they've seen that, then they're going to decide to contact you. When they contact you, they're inquiring. They're either taking an appointment or they're walking in if you're a local service business. And then they're going to end up purchasing from you depending on the services you have, and so on and so forth with the onboarding and the post delivery. So in this video, we've covered, this whole funnel before, but we're going to go dive in deep where the lead contacts you. So basically in this section, we're basically trying to improve your close rate and your show up rate to appointments, or your close rate from inquiries. So basically this is an optimization of close rate. So this is sales. So this is your sales section here. Before we're talking about conversion rate here, and here we're talking about leads. But in this case, we're going to talk about the close rate / show rate. So let me give you first, before we dive into these things, let me just show you here a flow chart that I saw from Alex Hormozy. So I don't know exactly where he had shared it, but anyways, I found this online. And basically, these are metrics that you could say as industry standards of what is a good close rate, what is a good show up rate, and what is a good book rate for your business. So close rate meaning how many people do you get on the phone, or how many people do you interact with that are interested, that are warm leads, that you end up closing, they end up purchasing from you. So if you have it under 30%, then you probably have some issues, and there's probably things you can improve because this is lower than the industry standard. Obviously, this is going to depend depending on the business you have, but in most cases, this is just a rule of thumb benchmark that you could set. Now, if your close rate is good, then maybe your show up rate is bad. So if your show up rate is under 70%, so 70% or less people are showing up to your appointments, then that means there's probably something wrong with it. And then there's ways to improve it, which we're going to talk about in this video. And then if your booking rate, which we're not going to talk about it in this video because it's more related to your conversion rate. So basically it's what we've talked about in this other video, how to improve this here. But in any case, here you have the flow chart, which by the way, you can screenshot. So if I'm just going to pause 2 seconds here, I'm not going to move. If you want to screenshot all this information, try to zoom in just so you could see everything here in case it's blurry. In any case, so if your book rate is under 10%, maybe you have some issues with your funnel. In any case, there's ways to improve that we've talked about in the other video. Then after that, you also have a profitability and growth diagnosis flowchart. So this is basically a flowchart that's going to be about understanding your business profitability and growth. It checks if you're spending too much to acquire customers, not making enough profit per customer, if you have enough cash to reinvest. It shows where to focus, whether that's improving your offer, cutting your costs, or finding ways to grow steadily. So once again, this is something I found from Alex Hormozy, so I can't take any credit from this, but it's a good thing to check here. So same thing here, LTV to CAC ratio, if it's under 3, then yes, you probably have some issues. If that's the case, there's some improvements to make. FEC to CAC ratio under 2, you probably have some improvements to make. Then FCF under $20,000 and monthly growth under 5%, then you probably also have some issues. And those are the ways to fix it. So I'm going to leave it here for you guys to screenshot. And I'm also going to go to a terminology table. If you don't know what all these things mean, I have it here. So all the abbreviations. So we're talking about FEC, FCF, and so on and so forth. So you could take it all in here, LTV. All right. So that being out of the way, let's cover what actually means to improve these aspects. So basically in this video, we're going to cover how to improve your close rate and how to improve your show up rate to your appointments. So let's go here. So the way a client's going to interact with your service business for most typical service businesses is either they're going to inquire, they're going to book an appointment, whether it's a physical real life appointment, inspection, or whatever it may be, a consultation, assessment, inspection, or a sales demo, or they're going to walk into your store. So walk-ins, there's not much to it. There's not much to do online to improve it. There's probably some email reminders you could do or something like that. But in most cases, there's not much to do here. If people just want to show up, they're going to show up. Now for this we're going to dive into here. So first thing I'm going to go into is the inquiries. So basically there are 5 ways, or I would say the 5 major ways that people are going to inquire to your business. So they're either going to send you a text, send you an email, send you a DM, they're going to call you, or they're going to fill out a form on your website, which is basically the same thing as an email, but it's a little bit more qualified. So there's some little details here. What you would want to do in most cases is you want to answer back all these inquiries under 5 minutes. So here's a little statistic to show you. This is not all encompassing. This is just one screenshot, but in any case, you could see how the amount of leads you keep, the amount of deals you close compared to the amount of time you take to answer back to them exponentially decreases. And one reason we could assume this as being true is the fact that if you have, let's say if you're looking for a service, you personally, you're looking for a service on Google, let's say you're looking for a roofer in Montreal. You write roofer Montreal, you see the first guy, you go on their website, you see, okay, they make sense, whatever, you end up contacting them. So you fill out their form. If nobody answers you back in 5 minutes, you're looking for a new roof. Your roof is leaking. You want it now. You don't want to wait 2 years for somebody to answer you back. You want it now. So you're probably going to go to the second person. Same thing. If the second person is not answering you back, or you don't have a way to contact them directly, where you're going to get an answer back right away, they're probably going to keep scrolling down. So one thing is that if you answer quickly, it stops, or at least reduces the likelihood that somebody's going to check your competition out. And also just makes it a faster interaction because that person has that problem right now and they're ready to deal with it right now. Because if they're filling out that form, they're ready to deal with it now. 10 minutes from now, they have to go pick up their kids, they're watching TV, they're not in the mood to deal with it. But if you're answering them right away, they're still in that mind space of dealing with that situation right there and then. So this is the rule of thumb. So manually, if you're doing manual back outreach, if somebody sends you a text, you want to answer them a text back in the under 5 minutes. I would say under 5 seconds, but realistically under 5 minutes. Same thing for an email, same thing for a DM, same thing for a call. You want to answer your calls first shot. Same thing for form fillouts. Now, the thing is that most businesses don't have a 24/7 receptionist. They don't have a 24/7 service center. So what you might want to do is that, let's say if your hours of business are from 9 to 5, outside those business hours, you might want to automate these things. And the way you could automate it is through AI and through automated responses, let's say through text. So if somebody sends you a text between 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. or during the weekends or whatever when you're closed, you can send them an automated response. And it's easy to set up. It's pretty easy to set up for text, especially for DMs and emails. They have within, let's say, Gmail, you could set these things up. So if somebody sends you an email, you say, hey, we're out of the office right now. We just received your inquiry. Thank you so much. We're going to answer you back tomorrow, 9 a.m. or whatever it may be. So that decreases the chances that person is going to see the other person because they're going to go, okay, they answer me back. I'm going to get a quote tomorrow. At least I'm going to get to talk to them tomorrow. In any case, I'm getting an answer back. I'm getting feedback. So I'm less likely to go see the competition. Now, if you didn't have that, then obviously that person will be less inclined to deal with you. Now, automated responses, you can set those up. So those are going to be just one-time responses. So they're not going to be conversations. But now the beauty is with AI, you can actually have those conversations with people. So if people have questions, you can answer those questions. If the person is inquiring about your business at 9 p.m., you're not going to have staff. Most of the times, you're not going to have staff answering them back at 9 p.m. So you could have an AI chatbot that has discussions with them through text. And you could teach it in a way where and we have videos about that. So if you go to our Vizions Digital channels or agency's channel, we have a video on how to set up a chatbot and how to we're going to do a video on how to teach it. But in any case, you teach it what your business is about. You teach it like you were teaching a secretary, all the information, and then it's going to manually text back and forth with the client. It's going to set, it's going to be set in boundaries. So it's not going to go outside those boundaries. It's not going to cause any issues with your business. It's going to be very bland and basic answers, but still gets the customer more engaged. And when you end up calling them the next morning, they're a lot more receptive because there's already a rapport, there's already a connection, there's already a feedback, a back and forth loop going on. So these are the two things you might want to include into your automations here. And these are going to apply for your email, your text, your DMs. In most softwares, you could apply these automatically in all three. So if you build it once, you could then connect it to your text, to your SMS, to your number, to your emails and your DMs. There's specificities on how to set these things up. So we're not going to talk about the actual technical tutorials of how to do it. Here, I'm just exploring the ideas. So those are the three main ones there. Now you have the calls. Calls are a little bit more difficult because the AI is probably not at a level right now where you could actually get a call and not sound AI, or at least have interactions with people that are fluent. But in any case, what you can do is set up these AI chatbots that are that are actual voice chatbots. And same principle with the other AI chatbots. When the person calls your business between after 9 and 5, before 9 and after 5, the AI is going to answer. It's going to answer like your secretary would. It's going to ask qualifying questions like your secretary would, and it's going to keep in the database all the information, all the conversation, and even summarize it for you, so that the next day when you're going to call them back, you already have all the information of the discussion they've had. And again, that increases the likelihood that the person is going to stay in contact with you and actually purchase from your business. Now, I don't know the statistics on how much that improves conversion rate, how much that improves close rate, or how much that improves show up rate. But in any case, I would say it's a plus. I don't think there's any disadvantage of, if it's taught properly, I don't think there's any disadvantage to setting these things up, except for the cost of the software or the cost of installing it. But in terms of I would say it's a net benefit to any business to have this type of interaction, because that person that's interested at 9 o'clock, they're interested about getting more information about your business. They want that information now. They don't want it tomorrow. They want it now. If you could offer that to them, then you're probably more likely to have a client right there. A second one that's very interesting is missed call text back. So basically it's the same thing as automated responses, but for text. So most businesses, even if you're from 9 to 5, you're not going to be answering maybe every call. Maybe you're on lunch break, your secretary's on lunch break, maybe you have pauses or whatever it may be. If you have an automated missed call text back, that just keeps the lead engaged enough so that when the person actually ends up picking up their phone, they not only do they see, because this is a side note, but you can have a missed call text back where you answer back with your name, and on iPhones, I believe that the name is going to register on that business, on that person's phone. So if the person called your business and now you're calling them back, maybe they're just going to see a random number and they're not going to want to pick up, because they think it's just a random number. But now if you've texted them back and you text them with, hey, this is roofing ABC, in the person's contact for iPhone, I believe, it's going to change the number to the name Roofing ABC. So then when you call them back after, you not only help increase the conversions by conversating with the person more, but you also increase the pickup rate, because that person is actually going to say, okay, this is Roofing ABC calling me. It's not a random number. I just called them 5 minutes ago. So let me answer back. So this is something to take into consideration, but this can be interesting within the hours of work and also outside of the hours of work. So there's ways to, in detail automate these things. And I'm going to show you guys some examples of how to do this for email. I don't have an example right now for missed call text back, but what you can do is that between, let's say, 9 to 5, you have a certain messaging that says, hey, we're gonna call you back in, let's say, in the next 5 minutes. You send them that little text. Sorry, we missed your call. I'm gonna call you back in the next 5 minutes. That keeps the person on edge and waiting for your phone call. Now, after 9 to 5, so outside of your 9 to 5 times, you might say, hey, sorry, we're currently closed, but tomorrow morning, first thing in the morning, we're going to call you back. Thank you for your interest. So again, keeps them engaged. If it's the weekend, then okay, next business day, 9 a.m., we're going to answer you back. So you can have different variations at different times and whatever. You could always optimize it to the max. But in most cases, if you have this set, that probably increases your lead retention and your warming up of leads. And that helps your conversion rate and your sales at the end. Yeah, this, and then you also have the automated voicemail drops. So a little bit like a missed call text back, instead of texting back, you do a voicemail drop. So you could do this. It's a little bit more personalized. It feels a little bit more human, but it depends on the business you have. This may be worth it, may not be worth it. This is more of an extra thing, just an idea to play around. You could do both. You could do text and the voicemail drops. I know that a lot of car companies, car selling companies that buy and sell cars, what they do is that they do voicemail drops. They send you a text, they send you an email, then they resend you another text, they send you another voicemail drop, and they even send you another email. And if you're not answering them, then they just keep doing that for like 2 weeks until you block them all. Anyways, that's my experience. So can be annoying. So depending on the type of business your reputation you want to have, you're going to have to choose there. But that's something, these are all things you could do in unison. You don't have to just do the missed call. You could do missed call, automated voicemailing. You could answer them back in email. You could answer them back in DMs. If you have all the information, just constantly go back to these inquiries. Now for the form fill outs, this is where it gets a little bit more personalized, a little bit more optimizable. So if you go here for form fill outs, you have your quote request or your contact request. So either they're asking for a quote, maybe it's contact us for a quote, or it's contact us just to get more information in general. In any case, what you want to do is have a thank you page. This is something most businesses don't have. So a thank you page, the difference would be is that if you have a form on your website and the person finishes the form, Most people have just a thank you for submitting the form at the bottom of it. What that does is it doesn't give more information to the person. It's fine because that's how the form is enough, but at the same time, it doesn't give them more information, doesn't keep them in the loop, doesn't keep them engaged, doesn't tell them when you're going to answer them back. It doesn't give them any more information about what they just did. What helps is a thank you page. So as soon as they press enter, it redirects them to a thank you page. That thank you page says, hey, thank you for filling out the form. Our representatives are going to contact you back in the next 24 hours. So it gives them a timeline. So there's something to expect. So they're going to be expecting your phone call. And then you could also share your case studies, your testimonials. You could share more information about your business. You could even say, hey, we also offer this service. Are you interested to include that in the call? So then if that person's interested in one quote, now you just upsold the idea of something else before the call. So now you're increasing your average order value. So there's many ways to play around with a thank you page. But in general, what you want to say is thank you. Then you want to show, you want to say, we're going to contact you soon, tomorrow, next morning, blah, 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 whatever it may be, as specific as you can be. And then after that, all the information that might be valuable to them. So reviews, case studies, testimonials, video reviews. If you have video reviews, even better, because that's going to increase. It doesn't mean that somebody fills out the form that they're actually going to be receptive to when you're gonna call them. Maybe they're gonna ignore you. Maybe they found your competitor or whatever. So you're still in the process of selling them on the idea that you are a good candidate for them. And the way you could do that is like in any other landing page optimization, is showing the reviews and all that type of stuff. So same thing I would say for contact requests, probably different variations, because if they're asking for a quote or asking for actual pricing, asking for contact is just more information. So you could modify it for those ways. But in any case, you could do that. What happens after is that thank you page. Now they've given you their email, they've contacted you. If you cannot answer back, so same thing as the calls. If you can't answer back, or the DMs or whatever, if you can't answer back in the next 5 minutes, maybe you want to set up some automated responses. Those automated responses, once again, hey, we just received your quote. I'm excited to work with you. We're going to contact you in the next 5 minutes or in the next 10 minutes or whatever it may be. So automated responses automatically when they send, so they get feedback. So they know that their inquiry was sent. Because sometimes that's what happens when you fill out a form on a website. You fill it out, you're not even sure if the person received it. There's no real thank you message. You don't really see this. So it's a lot of uncertainty. So what you want to just show is you're going to show you that you're sharp. By showing that increases show up rate to the actual call when you end up calling them back. So that's that. And then same thing here, you can set up an AI chatbot that answers, maybe on the thank you page, you can have an AI chatbot that answers their questions even more. You could have flows of messages going back and forth with them, getting them even more engaged and so on and so forth. So that's something to consider here. So let's go now to the appointments. All right, so for appointments, this is where it gets a little bit more complex. Well, it can be more complex. So 3 main ways people are going to contact you for appointments. It's going to be for a consultation. It's going to be for an assessment/inspection. So maybe if you're a local service business, you're going to be presenting yourself to their place, and then a sales or a demo. In any case, it's better to have them land on a thank you page than have them. So on the booking calendar, they go on your website, they book a call. Instead of just having a thank you for booking your call, we have, once again, thank you page, reviews, testimonials, thank you, more information about them, maybe an AI chatbot to help them, or maybe even another phone number or text message number for them to get an immediate answer. So thank you page is important for all 3. Then you have some appointment reminders. So this is a very important one that most service businesses don't do. And I would say this applies even for restaurants, hair salons, even lower ticket service businesses. This is a great one, because if somebody's taking an appointment with you, the show up rate, even for local service business, I would say for hair salons is probably 95%, 90%. So 90 to 95% people are actually going to show up to the appointment. But imagine with the appointment reminders, you can get 2% more. So it costs you whatever, $50 a month to maintain all this, but you're getting 2% more appointments. So let's say you're getting 1,000 appointments a month. Now you're getting 20 more appointments to actually show up. If these people hadn't showed up, then you have your hairstylist or whatever other service business you have those employees that aren't doing anything for those 30 minutes, 1 hour. They're useless in terms of for your business. So they're not bringing any value. They're not getting any commission or whatever payment they're getting, because they're not doing anything there. So now with you spending those $50 in that initial setup, you're getting those 20 people to fill out those slots, because wasted time is just wasted money. There's no other way to say it. So setting these appointment reminders, and I'll show you an example here. So I'll give you an example. This is the appointment reminder that we have for our business. So if somebody contacts us, somebody books a call with us, we have these internal things here. So we add them to our pipelines and we tag them. Then we send them an appointment confirmation email saying, hey, you've just took an appointment here. Here's all the information. And also, if you want to cancel or reschedule, here's the information too, because maybe the person did a mistake. We don't want them, basically, we want to respect our time, want to respect their time, want to make sure that they're going to show up. If we could get that show up rate to 100%, in an ideal world, that's what it would be. So first thing, you send the email. In our case, we also send an SMS just to double make sure that that they're sure about the appointment they've made. 2 minutes later, in our case, we send them a bonus email. That's just giving them more information, more stuff that might be valuable to them, just to keep engaging with them in a positive way. Then 24 hours before the appointment, we're going to send them an email reminder saying, hey, your appointment's tomorrow at this time. Hope you can make it, blah, blah, blah. Then 3 hours before we send them, 1 hour before with an SMS, then 15 minutes before, and then 5 minutes before, which isn't a real reminder, because if 5 minutes before you don't, if I've sent you one 15 minutes before and you don't respond, or you haven't read this one, well, this one doesn't matter. Like 15 minutes is enough of a warning. It's tight enough of a warning for you to actually show up to your appointment. This is more of a, hey, I'm on the call, or I've jumped on the call. Let's meet up. It's more of a, how could you say, I'm on the call. I'll send you the real link. Just make sure, like basically just to make sure you have the actual link to the call. So in any case, having all these set up, this increases our show up rate, because if somebody goes through all of these and receives all of these, there's a lot less likelihood that they're going to be not showing up to the appointment. And also you've made it clear to them that it's important for them to show up. It's not like a willy-nilly thing. It's not like we don't care if you show up or the time's not the right time, whatever. We're just constantly making sure. And that helps for your show up rate. So in any case, these are relatively easy to set up. We have a tutorial, I believe, on the Vizions Digital main channel on how to set this up in this software. But in any case, relatively easy to set up, costs you, probably 10 cents per running of the automation, but 10 cents, if that increases your show up rate by 10%, then it's worth it for most businesses. So this is an example there. Then after that, let's go here to your warm-up flow. So appointment reminders, you can have them set the same way for every single one, and maybe you vary it. We've done appointment reminders in a way where we give a value in those appointment reminders as well. We're not just reminding them and annoying them. We're also saying, hey, here's also more information. Here's also a tip. Here's also this. Here's also that. So it just keeps them more engaged with us instead of just being, hassling type back and forths. So anyways, let's go now to the warm-up flows. Actually, before we go to the warm-up flows, I just thought of something. So once you have your appointment reminders, you also have, so you're reminding them of the appointment, but if ever they canceled or they missed the actual appointment, you also have some other flows. So actually, we're going to talk about them here, but they kind of go over the warm-up flow. But in any case, so if they cancel the appointment, what you have is a flow like this. So I'll give you another example. These are a little bit more complicated to set up, but in any case, they came to the same principle. So if you see here, if the person canceled the appointment, we move them internally in our CRM to a canceled appointment state. We check back with them and say, hey, just noticed you canceled the appointment. Is there any reason why? Here's a link to reschedule if you're interested, blah, blah, blah. Anything we can help, whatever. 3 days after, if the client doesn't reschedule another call, we send them another canceled appointment flow email. So we say, okay, hey, listen, we still notice you haven't took back an appointment. Is there any reason, or whatever it may be, the messaging? In any case, you send them another email. Then 4 days after, send them another email saying, hey, still notice you haven't booked a new call with us. Anything we can help with, yada, yada. Then obviously we don't want to bother them too much, because after that, if they cancel the call, then maybe there's a reason why. If they're not answering, there's another reason why. So we're not going to bother them too much. But after that, 25 days later, we're just going to remind them this one last time, which total is 32 days later after they cancel the appointment, just to say, hey, we noticed you never took the time to book another appointment. If there's anything we can help with, please do reach out. We'd love to look if we can work with your business. And then they're moved to an infinity flow. So basically this flow after that is this is what happens to every single one of our clients that, let's say, we don't end up working with, or that we end up in these missed call flows or canceled appointment flows. We send them in an infinity flow. That's just basically like a newsletter giving them information about our business, because maybe at that time, the specific month, that business, it didn't make sense for them to work with us. Maybe 3 months down the line, it makes sense for them. Maybe 6 months down the line, 10 years down the line, whatever it may be. There's an interesting story that I always refer to from Ryan Serhant. Serhant is a real estate agent, and he was talking about how he had this client that he had met, let's say, 10 years ago. I don't know the exact details of the story, but it's just gist of it. He met him, let's say, 10 years ago, and he was trying to sell him a house or trying to get him to sell his house, and the client wasn't interested. But he kept emailing him every week. So every week he kept emailing him. So let's say 52 emails a year for 10 years. And after 10 years, that person that day received the email and he had an opportunity on his table and he wanted this big deal to be done and he wanted Ryan to do it because he saw the perseverance and he saw he kept emailing him. And in the end, he ended up contacting Ryan. So instead of somebody else, he contacted Ryan and Ryan got the deal 10 years later down the line. But for a real estate agent, in this case, probably the property was worth $10 million and Ryan's commission is 3%. So he just made $300,000 on the fact that he did, what type of work did he do? Well, he did 52 emails for 10 years. So that's 520 emails. So you send out 520 emails and you get a lead that's worth $300,000 of profit to you. So you see how the math could work for depending on the type of business you have. These flows could be interesting for you. Just continually just update the person, maybe them more information, more value. You're not bothering them. You're just saying, hey, look, we still exist. If ever you're still interested like you were in the past, there might be something of value for us to work with. So in any case, that's what you would do here for the cancel consultation flow. And then same thing for missed consultation flow, pretty much goes to the same principle. If they missed a call, you send them, some emails, depending on the type of tolerance you may have, because if somebody missed a call, maybe it's something of disrespect to your time, so you might not want to deal with that person. But in any case, you might want to give them the benefit of the doubt. If they made a mistake or whatever, maybe you send them some more information, try to get them back on a call and so on. Then after that, now let me go back up. So your warm-up flows, basically they're like your appointment reminders, or they're after your cancel consultation, miss consultation, just to warm them back up to get another appointment. So in any case, these are going to be random emails, just like the infinity flow that I was talking about. It's just this type of thing where you're just warming them up through time, just giving them more value, more information, so on. Then after that, you have your post-consultation flow. So if the response was positive, maybe you have an automated flow that goes that way. If the response was negative, maybe you send them this information. If they say, I'll think about it, you send them that information. If they don't respond, so they make no decision, you give them this information. And then in the end, you always end up setting them up in the infinity flow. So whatever answer they may be, if it's not positive, if it's not a yes and they don't actually end up signing with you, then you send them on this infinity flow. It just keeps cycling them and maybe offering them things that, like we were saying before, in the future down the road might be interested in. So basically these ways you could set this up, whether it's your consultations, your assessments, inspections, and even for your sales demos. And in any case, it pretty much boils down to the same thing, just different variations of the type of offerings or the type of messaging you're going to have, but the same structure. So that's pretty much it for this. And again, just to reiterate, these are all these ways to get an increase in show up rate and get an increase in close rate. So if you've dealt with having the most amount of leads you could possibly get to your funnel, and then from there you convert the highest amount of them to end up actually contacting you. Then when they contact you, you optimize your show up rate and your close rate, so increases the likelihood they purchase from you. Then you've got a business that's very solid. And if you're able to hit these metrics and better, then you obviously have a business that, compared to the industry standards, is doing good, and it's probably something. Now there's probably something else you could focus your attention on. So that's pretty much it for that. And then walk-ins, if people are coming in for service requests or inquiring or just actually getting their service, then you have different ways to deal with it. But we're not going to cover this in this video. It's not very pertinent for most service businesses that are trying to optimize themselves online. So that's pretty much it for this video. So as a recap, if you guys want to get access to this Miro board here, I have a link in the description below. This is a paid product. So if ever you want to get access to this and all the checklists and all the bonuses there's going to be a link in the description below. But if you want access to our 12 trainings, so basically documented ways as well as miniature checklists of how to set all these things up, you guys can download those for free. So I have 12 trainings going over sales automations, in this case, sales automations again, but we also have, other ones about, let me go back here. So website design, website structure, website speed, social sites, Google My Business optimization, reputation management, all these types of things. So we have 12 of those. So if ever you're interested in that, you can get those for free. and you could basically learn a little bit more on how to optimize these things more in detail. This is more a video to just go over an overview and to show you what's possible. When these trainings, you have more in-depth applications for it. And then we have the tutorials. So if ever you go to our YouTube channel, Vizions Digital with a Z, so Vizions Digital like this. If you go to that YouTube channel, then you have the tutorials there, and you have actual like technical how-tos to set these things up in motion. So that's pretty much it for this video. If ever you guys have any questions, any requests or anything like that, you can let me know in the comments. Basically, what I want with this whole funnel here is I want to keep adding to it. So if ever you have things you think I missed on, or things I could add to, or things I could modify, please let me know. I'd love to get some feedback on this and hopefully get it to improve with time. Things change, industries change, the whole market changes. So there's always things to improve. So that's basically it for this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.